What if the biggest reason most people never become rich has nothing to do with money, education, or luck? What if the real reason is something happening silently inside their own mind? Every day, millions of people wake up with dreams. They want financial freedom. They want success. They want a life where they are not constantly worrying about money, time, or missed opportunities. But somehow, despite working hard, they stay stuck in the same cycle. They overthink. They procrastinate. They doubt themselves. And slowly, their biggest goals start feeling impossible. But more than 80 years ago, one book revealed a completely different truth about success. A truth discovered after studying some of the most powerful and successful people in the world. People who built fortunes from nothing and turned impossible ideas into reality. In this video, we are breaking down the most powerful lessons from Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, a book that has transformed the way millions of people think about money, ambition, and success. You will discover why burning desire is the starting point of every achievement, how belief and faith can literally reshape the way your mind works, and why persistence is the hidden force that separates dreamers from achievers. And if you truly understand these ideas, you may start seeing your goals and your future in a completely different way. So let's begin. Part 1: The Power of Burning Desire. It is early morning. The alarm rings, and for a moment you just stare at the ceiling. Your mind is already racing. Bills, responsibilities, unfinished goals, dreams you once had but slowly stopped talking about. You pick up your phone and scroll through social media. Someone your age just bought a new car, someone else launched a business. Another person is traveling the world. And somewhere deep inside, a quiet thought appears: why not me? But just as quickly, another voice answers. Maybe I'm not talented enough. Maybe I started too late. Maybe success is only for a lucky few. So you get up, follow the same routine, go through the same day, and slowly push that dream further into the background of your life. This is the invisible struggle millions of people face every single day. They want more from life, but they never move toward it with real conviction. They wish for success, but wishing is weak. They hope for money, but hope alone has no power. And this is exactly where Napoleon Hill begins one of the most powerful ideas ever written about success. According to Hill, every great fortune, every massive achievement, and every legendary success story begins with one simple but extremely rare thing: a burning desire. Not a casual wish. Not a vague dream. Not something you think about only when life feels boring. A burning desire is different. It is the kind of desire that keeps you awake at night. The kind that refuses to disappear even after failure. The kind that follows you everywhere like a shadow. Napoleon Hill discovered this idea while studying hundreds of the most successful people of his time. Business leaders, inventors, entrepreneurs, and visionaries, men like Andrew Carnegie, Thomas Edison, and Henry Ford. What surprised him the most was that these people did not start with extraordinary intelligence or perfect circumstances. What they started with was obsession. They wanted their goals so badly that quitting never became an option. Hill tells the story of a young man named Edwin C. Barnes. Barnes had a dream that sounded completely unrealistic. He wanted to become the business partner of Thomas Edison, one of the greatest inventors in the world. But Barnes was poor. He had no money, no connections, and no special advantages. He didn't even have enough money to buy a train ticket to meet Edison. Most people would look at a dream like that and immediately dismiss it as impossible. But Barnes didn't. He made a decision that changed his life. Instead of saying, "I wish I could work with Edison asterisk," he declared something far more powerful. He said, "I will become Edison's partner." This small shift in language reveals a massive shift in mindset. Barnes was no longer hopping, he was committed. Eventually, he managed to reach Edison's office. When Edison first saw him, he looked like just another poor young man looking for work. Nothing about Barnes suggested wealth or success. But Edison noticed something unusual in his eyes. Later, Edison said that Barnes had a look that revealed absolute determination, the kind of determination that refuses to accept defeat. Barnes didn't become Edison's partner immediately. In fact, he started with a very small job, but he never lost sight of his goal. Months passed, then something interesting happened. Edison invented a new machine called the dictating machine. At the time, most salesmen didn't believe the product would succeed. They had no enthusiasm for selling it. But Barnes saw an opportunity. He stepped forward and offered to sell the machine himself. His desire was so strong that he convinced Edison to give him the chance. Barnes went out and sold the product successfully, and eventually he became Edison's business partner exactly as he had imagined. This story perfectly illustrates Hill's first principle. Success begins when desire becomes stronger than doubt. Most people never reach their goals because their desire is too weak. The moment life becomes difficult, their dream quietly disappears. But when desire becomes intense, something powerful happens inside the mind. Your brain begins searching for opportunities. Your focus becomes sharper. Your actions become more consistent. You stop looking for excuses and start looking for solutions. Hill explains that desire is not just an emotional feeling, it is the starting point of every achievement. In fact, he discovered that the difference between people who succeed and people who stay stuck often comes down to a single factor: the intensity of their desire. Think about it. If someone casually says they want to become wealthy, they might try something for a few weeks, but the moment they face rejection, criticism, or failure, they give up. But someone with burning desire behaves differently. They wake up earlier. They learn new skills. They keep going after setbacks. They refuse to quit even when progress is slow. Their desire fuels persistence. Napoleon Hill also explains that desire must be clearly defined. Many people say they want success, but success means different things to different people. If the mind does not have a clear target, it cannot direct energy toward achieving it. Hill suggests turning desire into a specific intention. Instead of saying, "I want more money," define exactly how much money you want. Instead of saying, "I want success," decide what success actually looks like in your life. Clarity transforms vague dreams into concrete goals. Then comes the most powerful step of all. You must believe it is possible. This is where most people struggle. Their desire is immediately attacked by doubt. They start thinking about their lack of experience, their past failures, their limited resources. But Hill discovered something remarkable. Many of the most successful people started with fewer advantages than the average person. Henry Ford was once told that his idea of building an affordable automobile was impossible. Experts believed the engine would never work. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before creating a working electric light bulb. But their desire kept pushing them forward. When desire becomes powerful enough, the mind stops asking, "Can I do this?" and starts asking, "How will I do this?" This shift changes everything. Suddenly, obstacles become puzzles instead of barriers. Failures become lessons instead of endings. Progress may still be slow, but the direction never changes. And this is why Hill calls desire the starting point of all riches. Because without desire, no action begins. Without action, no opportunity appears. And without opportunity, success never has a chance to exist. But the moment desire becomes intense enough, something extraordinary happens. The mind begins aligning with the goal. Your attention filters information differently. Your decisions change. Your daily habits slowly start moving toward the dream. It may not happen overnight, but the process begins. Hill believed that anyone can develop burning desire if they are willing to commit fully to their goal. The key is emotional connection. When a goal is connected to deep meaning, freedom, family, purpose, impact, the desire becomes stronger. It stops being just an idea and becomes a mission. And when a mission takes control of your mind, your behavior begins to transform. You stop drifting through life. You start directing it. So the real question is not whether success is possible for you. The real question is far more important. How strong is your desire? Because according to Napoleon Hill, that single factor might determine the entire direction of your life. Part 2: The Power of Faith in the Mind. It is late at night, the room is quiet, but your mind is not. You are lying in bed replaying the same thoughts again and again. What if I fail? What if people judge me? What if I try and nothing works? These questions repeat like a loop that refuses to stop. During the day you feel motivated. You watch inspiring videos, read powerful ideas, and promise yourself that tomorrow will be different. But when the moment to act finally arrives, something invisible pulls you back: doubt, fear, uncertainty. You start questioning your abilities. Maybe others are smarter, maybe others have better resources, maybe success belongs to someone else. And slowly, without even realizing it, you begin convincing yourself that your dream is unrealistic. This is the silent battle that happens inside the mind of almost every person, not a battle with the world but a battle with belief. And this is where Napoleon Hill introduces the second powerful principle from Think and Grow Rich: the principle of faith. But Hill does not describe faith in a religious sense alone. He describes it as something far more practical and powerful. Faith, in his words, is the emotional force that turns thought into reality. Every action begins with a belief. If you believe something is possible, you move toward it with confidence. If you believe something is impossible, you subconsciously avoid it. The mind begins creating evidence to support whatever belief you hold. Hill discovered that successful people learn how to build belief intentionally, even before the results appear. They train their minds to expect success. This might sound simple, but it is actually one of the most powerful psychological mechanisms in human behavior. The mind is constantly influenced by repetition. Whatever thoughts you repeat again and again slowly become accepted as truth by your subconscious. This is why negative self-talk can be so destructive. If someone repeatedly tells themselves, "I am not good enough, I always fail, nothing works for me," the subconscious mind begins accepting these ideas as reality. Once that happens, behavior starts aligning with those beliefs. The person becomes hesitant, they avoid risk, they stop trying new opportunities. Not because they lack talent, but because they lack belief. Napoleon Hill explains that faith works in exactly the opposite way. When a person repeatedly feeds their mind with belief, confidence, and certainty, their subconscious begins accepting those ideas as truth. And once the subconscious accepts an idea, it begins influencing behavior automatically. The person becomes more persistent. They take more action. They notice opportunities others ignore. Over time, these actions create results. Hill calls this process autosuggestion. Autosuggestion is the practice of intentionally feeding your mind with thoughts that support your goals. It means consciously choosing what ideas dominate your internal dialogue. Every day, whether we realize it or not, we are programming our own minds. The question is whether we are doing it intentionally or accidentally. Think about how often people repeat negative beliefs about money, success, or their own abilities. Some people grow up hearing phrases like "money is hard to earn" or "people like us never become rich" or "success is only for lucky people." These ideas quietly settle into the subconscious mind and begin shaping behavior for years. Without realizing it, people start acting according to those beliefs. But Hill observed that highly successful individuals do something different. They guard their minds carefully. They repeat empowering beliefs until those beliefs become internal truth. Instead of saying "this will never work," they ask, "how can I make this work?" Instead of thinking "I am not capable," they begin training their mind to say "I will find a way." This may sound like simple positive thinking, but Hill argues that it is actually a form of mental conditioning. Just like the body becomes stronger through repeated exercise, the mind becomes stronger through repeated belief. And when belief becomes strong enough, something remarkable begins to happen. Fear loses its control. Fear is often the biggest invisible barrier to success. Fear of failure, fear of criticism, fear of losing money, fear of looking foolish. These fears silently stop millions of people from ever pursuing their real ambitions. But faith changes the balance. When belief becomes stronger than fear, action becomes easier. The mind begins focusing on possibilities instead of dangers. This shift transforms the way a person approaches challenges. Instead of seeing obstacles as proof that the goal is impossible, they see them as temporary problems that require creative solutions. Hill discovered that this mental attitude was common among the most successful individuals he studied. They were not fearless. They simply believed in their goal strongly enough to act despite fear. Faith gave them emotional resilience. Another important idea Hill explains is that the subconscious mind does not easily distinguish between imagination and reality. When a person vividly imagines success repeatedly and emotionally, the subconscious begins responding as if that success is already possible. This internal shift influences motivation and behavior. Athletes use this technique before competitions, entrepreneurs use it before launching new ventures, leaders use it before making important decisions. They mentally rehearse success until their mind begins accepting it as achievable. Hill believed that faith is not something you are born with. It is something you build. You build it through repetition, through visualization, through self-talk, and through surrounding yourself with ideas that strengthen belief rather than weaken it. The environment around you plays a powerful role in shaping your mindset. If you constantly hear negativity, doubt, and criticism, those ideas slowly influence your thinking. But if you surround yourself with ambition, encouragement, and growth-focused people, your mental environment changes. Your expectations begin to rise. Hill often emphasized that successful individuals protect their minds from destructive influences. They understand that belief is fragile in its early stages. A single negative voice can weaken confidence before it has fully developed. But once belief becomes strong enough, it becomes incredibly resilient. And when faith combines with burning desire, a powerful psychological engine begins forming inside the mind. Desire provides the direction. Faith provides the confidence. Together they create unstoppable momentum. This is why Hill believed that wealth and success are not created only through external effort. They are first created internally, inside the mind. Because before a person can achieve something in reality, they must first believe it is possible. And once the mind truly accepts that belief, actions begin aligning with it. Opportunities start appearing where none seemed to exist before. Ideas start flowing more easily. Confidence grows stronger. The person who once doubted themselves slowly begins becoming someone different. Someone who believes. And when belief becomes powerful enough, it quietly begins shaping the future. Part 3: Persistence, the bridge between dreams and reality. It usually begins with excitement. You discover a powerful idea. Maybe it's a business opportunity, a creative project, or a new goal that promises a better future. In the beginning, everything feels possible. Your mind fills with energy. You imagine success, freedom, and the life you have always wanted. But then something inevitable happens. The first obstacle appears. Maybe people doubt you, maybe progress is slower than you expected. Maybe you fail at something important. The excitement that once fueled your motivation slowly begins to fade. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, and many people quietly give up. Not because their dream was impossible, but because the road became uncomfortable. This moment, the moment when most people quit, is exactly where Napoleon Hill introduces the final and most powerful lesson from Think and Grow Rich. The principle of persistence. Hill discovered that persistence is the invisible force that separates dreams from reality. It is the bridge that connects desire and belief to actual results. Without persistence, even the strongest desire fades, even the greatest idea disappears. But with persistence, even an ordinary person can eventually achieve extraordinary results. Hill explains that persistence is not about moving fast, it is about refusing to stop. It is the ability to continue taking action even when progress feels painfully slow. Most people underestimate how long success actually takes. They expect results too quickly, and when success does not appear immediately, doubt begins to grow. The mind starts creating excuses. Maybe the timing is wrong. Maybe the idea is not good enough. Maybe I should try something easier. These thoughts slowly weaken determination. But Hill observed that the most successful individuals respond very differently to obstacles. Instead of seeing difficulty as a signal to quit, they interpret it as part of the journey. They understand that failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is part of success. One of the most famous examples Hill discusses is the story of Thomas Edison. When Edison was trying to invent the electric light bulb, he conducted thousands of experiments that did not work. Many people would have considered those attempts complete failures. But Edison did not see them that way. When someone once asked him how it felt to fail thousands of times, Edison replied with a remarkable perspective. He said he had not failed at all. Instead, he had discovered thousands of ways that did not work. Each experiment moved him one step closer to the solution. This mindset represents the true essence of persistence. Persistent people do not measure success by immediate results. They measure success by continued progress. They understand that every attempt provides information, every mistake teaches something valuable. Over time, these lessons accumulate. Skill improves, strategies become sharper, confidence grows stronger. Eventually, the results begin to appear. Hill discovered that many successful individuals faced repeated rejection before achieving their breakthroughs. Writers whose manuscripts were rejected dozens of times, entrepreneurs whose first businesses collapsed, inventors whose early prototypes completely failed. But persistence kept them moving forward. Hill explains that persistence is closely connected to desire and faith. Desire gives you a reason to start. Faith gives you the belief that success is possible. But persistence gives you the strength to continue when motivation disappears. Because motivation is temporary. Some days you will feel excited, some days you will feel tired, some days you will question everything. Persistence is the ability to keep moving forward even on the days when you feel uncertain. It transforms effort into momentum. Another powerful idea Hill introduces is the concept of the mastermind principle. He discovered that many successful individuals surround themselves with a group of supportive and ambitious people who share ideas, encouragement, and knowledge. When minds come together with a common purpose, something powerful happens. Creativity expands. Confidence grows. Problems that once seemed impossible suddenly become easier to solve. The mastermind principle shows that persistence does not always mean struggling alone. Sometimes it means building the right environment around you. An environment where people challenge your thinking, support your vision, and help you continue moving forward. Hill believed that persistence is not simply a personality trait, it is a habit that anyone can develop. And like any habit, it becomes stronger through repetition. Every time you continue despite difficulty, your resilience grows. Every time you refuse to quit, your confidence strengthens. Over time, persistence becomes part of your identity. You stop seeing obstacles as threats. You start seeing them as temporary challenges. Eventually, a shift happens in the way you view success itself. Instead of chasing quick results, you begin focusing on long-term growth. You begin trusting the process. You understand that meaningful achievements rarely happen overnight. They are built slowly through effort, patience, learning, and persistence. This is why Hill believed that persistence is the final test of desire. Many people want success when it feels easy. Few people continue when it becomes difficult. But those who do continue often discover something extraordinary. Opportunities appear in unexpected ways. Skills develop faster than expected. Confidence begins attracting new possibilities. And suddenly, the dream that once felt distant begins moving closer to reality. Hill's message throughout Think and Grow Rich is ultimately very simple, but incredibly powerful. Success is not reserved for a special group of people. It is available to anyone who learns to control their thinking, strengthen their belief, and persist long enough to turn their vision into reality. Burning desire ignites the journey. Faith strengthens the mind. Persistence carries the dream across the finish line. When these three forces work together, something remarkable begins to happen. The person who once felt stuck begins transforming. They think differently. They act differently. They respond to challenges differently. And step by step, decision by decision, effort by effort, they slowly build a life that once existed only in imagination. Because every great achievement in human history began exactly the same way. As a thought in someone's mind. A thought that refused to disappear. A belief that refused to break. And a person who refused to give up. If there is one message that echoes through every page of Think and Grow Rich, it is this. Success does not begin in your bank account, it begins in your mind. The moment you develop a burning desire for something greater, strengthen your belief that it is possible, and persist through every obstacle that appears in your path, you begin activating the same principles that have shaped countless success stories throughout history. But simply hearing these ideas is not enough. Knowledge can inspire you for a moment, but action is what transforms your life. The real power of these principles appears only when you apply them every single day. When you refuse to let doubt control your thinking, when you continue moving forward even when progress feels slow. Because the future you want is not built in one big moment. It is built in small decisions, repeated consistently over time. And if you start today with clarity, belief, and persistence, the life you imagine may be much closer than you think. If you found this summary valuable, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more powerful book insights that can transform the way you think and grow. And in the comments below, tell me one idea from this book that changed the way you see success. Your next breakthrough might begin with that single realization.